This is the Voice for Real Estate podcast. Whether you're buying a home, building a home, or designing a home, you'll meet the local experts who can provide all the information you need in every episode of Voice for Real Estate. And be sure to subscribe, share, and comment so you don't miss a single episode of Voice for Real Estate.
Here we are for another Voice for Real Estate. It's just a conversation about coastal Carolina real estate. And particularly today, we're going to focus on the Charleston area. And we've got a special guest here with us today. His name is Doug Holmes. And Doug, you have been doing what you've been doing for many, many years. And one of the reasons I'm excited to talk to you is you've capsulated what's happened in 2021, as you do at the end of every year. So this is a fun thing for me, and I think it'll be a fun dialogue and information for our listeners and our viewers.
Okay.
So again, thanks for it. I wanted to start off. What are your highlights for the 2020 versus 2021? Before we really get into 2021, what kind of struck you as unusual for 2021 versus 2020?
The biggest thing is the amount that median price went up. I mean, if you look at the median price over the last many years, I mean, we've been recording data on the MLS in Charleston since 1991, and in general, we go up 4, 5, 6% a year. That's typical nationwide, but this past year we've gone up over 16% in median sales price, and that's by far the most we've ever gone up in 1 year. And this is in the middle of a pandemic, and that's after an 8% rise or 9% rise in 2020. So we're in the middle of a pandemic in 2020, and we go up 8% and 9%. That was fantastic. And then on top of that, we jumped 16% the following year, still in
crazy
in the pandemic. So that's the biggest takeaway for me. The other number is, of course, number of transactions.
And how many transactions did we have in 2020, and how many did we have in 2021?
In 2020, we did about 21,000 transactions, which was the first time we'd ever been over 20,000. Maybe the first time we'd ever been over 18 or 19,000. We jumped all the way up to 21,000 transactions in 2020. And so this year we've gone up to 23,000 transactions. So we went up another 10% in the number of transactions, and we have less than 13.
That was my next question. How do you think that happened with so few listings in the MLS?
Well, the demand is so high that the number of listings has a hard time going up. There's a lot of new listings constantly coming onto the market, but they're selling really, really fast. The cumulative days on the market's a week. If your house is on the market for over a week, you're over the middle. You're above average in time on market. You should sell your house in the first week, and you should probably sell it for more than list price is the way that things are going. I mean, it's just crazy. I don't understand all of it. We've never seen anything like this.
No, for sure.
Crazy.
So let's start drilling down and take a journey. Would you take a journey with me? And I know in previous emails, you said there may not be a lot to talk about on Sullivan's Island. Let's start at Sullivan's Island. We'll go up to Isle of Palms, but if there's not a lot, how many transactions were in Sullivan's Island, and what was the most?
Sullivan's Islands, Isle of Palms, and Wild Dunes, all those three together are going to do 500 transactions in an entire year. I mean, it's just not that many. So the number of transactions over there is not all that much, and it's pretty flat over the past year. In fact, Wild Dunes was down a little bit, but any place that was down in the number of transactions is primarily due to just lack of inventory. They would have sold a lot more if they had more to sell. But I think the big news on Sullivan's Island, Isle of Palms, and Wild Dunes is the price again. It's more than the 16% average for the whole MLS. It's 30% for Sullivan's Island. It's 62% for Isle of Palms, and it's 22.5% for Wild Dunes. So
that's incredible, Doug. I mean, that is like
Shermer Insurance Group, committed to maintaining the highest standards of integrity and professionalism in our relationship with our clients.
You're listening to the Voice for Real Estate podcast, a conversation about coastal Carolina real estate.
Daniel Island was up 25% too. So all those places and a lot of places. I mean, every place in the MLS is pretty much up double digits. The overall median 16%. So most places are up over double digits, but a lot are over 20, 25, 30%.
It really also establishes the fact that I had lunch yesterday with a client who moved down here from up north, and the conclusion they have with it, because they were in Manhattan, is now because of the pandemic, people realize they can work anywhere, and so and the companies are allowing that to take place. So that's why our coastal region has exploded the way it has. Well, and the islands, the data that you just shared with us really establishes that, because the islands are the most desirable in the area.
Well, absolutely. Any coastal area is going to do better than nationwide. But let's stop for a minute and realize that what we're talking about is happening all across the nation. I mean, yes. we have supply issues in a lot of things, cars, whatever you talk about. You can't buy anything right now because it's unavailable.
So let's focus a little bit before we go to North Mount Pleasant, South Mount Pleasant. Let's focus a little bit on Daniel Island, if you don't mind. I know that you said that was quite active. I was surprised that the average price, or the median price, as you like to really focus on, I know when you talk, you like to, is like $995,000. Is that what
right? Almost $1 million for the middle on Daniel Island. That's up 25%, just like, Sullivan's, Isle of Palms, Wild Dunes, they're all up, over 25% in price. The amount of sales in those places is fairly flat. Daniel Island was only up 4% in sales. Obviously, again, it would have probably been more if they had more to sell.
So you've got in your data that you've shared with your client base, and let's do a little thing here for you, if you don't mind. Like, your service is available to realtors only, correct?
That's correct.
And then how can they get a hold of you and does it matter where the realtor is? Do they have to be a Charleston-based realtor? Could it be a realtor
they don't.
anywhere?
They don't, but that would be mostly the people that would be interested in it.
So how can they subscribe to it? Can you give us a URL?
CH for Charleston, CHStats, STATS.com. CHStats.com will take you to the website, and you can register and log in there, and you will get signed up to the service, and then I will see that happen, and we'll add you to the email list. There's an email distribution list. Every time I update a chart.
I'm a subscriber because I'm media, and I have to say, anybody that hasn't used your service, if they're interested in this market, they should. Okay, so I'm looking here on the Isle of Palms. Again, this is your data, and it's course section 44 in the MLS. So was the median price home on the Isle of Palms $1.7 million?
That's right. That's right. And that was let's see, what did you say, Isle of Palms? That's a 62% increase. It was just over $1 million last year, and now it's at 1.7. Of course,
so all of last year caused the activity and the pricing caused a 62% increase in the pricing.
Right.
Wow,
right.
That's crazy. And then Sullivan's Island, I've got here, the median price home is approaching $3 million. It's $2.9 million.
Right. I used to count every week when I did my weekly analysis of all the properties that went under contract. I used to count the number of properties that were over $1 million, and regularly it would be a handful, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 homes selling each week for over $1 million. Now it's in the teens. It's 20 houses a week, maybe 25, 30 that are over $1 million going under contract. And now I'm starting to note how many are above 2 million and 3 million. That, it used to be you'd hardly ever see a home for over $2 million go under contract.
You know what they say, location, 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 right?
Mm.
So moving on, I noticed that, can you tell us affordability? If somebody couldn't afford the kind of pricing we're talking about right now, where would they go? I see we've got Ravenel and Latson here in Somerville. Is the average price of a home there like approaching $263,000?
Oh, well, right. That's the place that most people go that can't afford Mount Pleasant and the islands. They go to Somerville or West Ashley. And I used to have a rule of thumb that I would tell realtors in the area, and this was just 3 years ago. I would say, you can buy a home pretty much anywhere in the nation for $100 a square foot, $110 a square foot. And I said, well, that's true of Somerville, all the Somerville areas, the Goose Creek areas, and North Charleston. You can go up there and buy a home for $110 or $115 a square foot. Not anymore. Now it's $150, $160, $170 a square foot in those places. That's a lot of money.
On your chart, Doug, you've got here on your data, you've got here the average price last year is $355,000. Is that correct?
And which area is that?
The median price for the average totals, when you looked at total
of all the homes.
Yes.
That's this year, 2021. This past year, 2021, we went from 306,000 in 2020 to 355,000 in 2021. I have a trend line that goes back to 1991 when we started keeping data on the MLS, and we've been running right along that trend line very nicely for the last several years. This past year, or 2020, we got right on that trend line. We were exactly where we were supposed to be. We were fairly priced. And this year we shot up 16% to $350,000, and we busted way through the trend line.
Well, speaking of the trend line, it looks like 2019, were we looking at $250,000 in the average median price?
280,000 in 2019. So we've gone from 280 to 355 in 2 years. From 2013 to 2019, we were just working our way through the 200s, like about $10,000 a year. We were going up from 200 to 300. And then in the past 2 years, we've gone up almost $75,000 in the past 2 years.
So let's go over to Folly Beach for a little bit. What do you see that's going on there? What's happened there?
Well, it's the same sort of thing. You don't have that many sales over there either, but in fact, the number of sales this past year is actually down from 2020. But again, lack of inventory. It's just there's no homes to buy. But the price went up 17%, and that's about the median for the whole MLS. So things are going up over there as well.
Let me backtrack and go to North Mount Pleasant. What do you see the activity there? How did that do in 2021?
Well, both of the Mount Pleasant areas are doing quite well, especially in terms of price, but the area north of the IOP connector actually went down from 2020 as far as the number of sales go. Again, just don't have enough active inventory. And in area 41, that's where most of your new construction is in Mount Pleasant. So new construction is just not keeping up. They have the same supply problems. They can't get refrigerators. They can't get stoves. They can't get lumber. They can't get labor. And so this is a big problem all across the United States. We don't have enough active inventory. And one of the main reasons for that is that new construction is just not keeping up. It can't keep up with what the demand is.
So is the new construction pricing in Charleston, has that rose as resales have?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. New construction is keeping up with pricing. They tended to be a little cautious after the downfall in 2008 to 2012. They came out of that very, very cautious, I thought. I saw houses selling in some of the new subdivisions in 2012 for less than they should have been. I think that some of the builders in Mount Pleasant and other places They were very, very cautious after the big downfall, the recession of 2008 through 2012.
So James Island, I noticed James Island, the pricing there it seems to be mirroring a little bit to Mount Pleasant.
Absolutely. I mean, they're both pushing $300 a square foot now. I mean, I did the weekly analysis of contingents this morning, and in Mount Pleasant, the lowest home that went under contract was $500,000. That was the bottom of the barrel, and not quite that bad in James Island. You can still buy a house over there for $350,000 or $400,000.
So you're saying there's a house recently in Mount Pleasant? Excuse me, Doug. You say there's a house recently in Mount Pleasant that went under contract for $500,000.
Right, and there aren't many at that level now. Is
that in South Mount Pleasant or North Mount Pleasant?
I can't remember where it was exactly, but probably in North Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant is just the most popular area in all of Charleston. You know, primarily the schools are so good. People with extra income, they like to live there, and the median sales price there this past week was $750,000. That's typical now. It's $750,000. My daughter lives over there, and they bought a home a couple years ago for $500,000. Now it's worth $750,000. The problem is that a house just like theirs is also worth $750,000. So it's difficult for them to move because you're talking about a pretty big mortgage there when you start talking about $750,000.
Sure.
Or
do you have any projections for 2022? I know you don't have a crystal ball, but I do know for decades you've been crunching these numbers. Any kind of input for 2022?
Well, I don't see a change from what we've been seeing for the last couple of years, simply because of the lack of inventory. I can't see inventory just shooting up, way up, and I can't see demand going down. I was listening to the radio yesterday, and NPR, they put out this, fear, your interest rates are going up to 3.5%. Woo, 3.5%.
It's
that's
funny
free. That's still free money,
Yeah.
3.5% for a mortgage rate. There's still going to be a lot of demand for houses. Now, if interest rates get up to 6 or 7%, that might change things. But how long? You and I have been around a long time. We know it takes the Federal Reserve a long time to go up 2 or 3 percentage points. It takes a couple of years. So
right.
I don't see any change in what's going on. We have less than 1,300 active listings now in the MLS.
So Doug, when you were doing this, your first, if you can dig back in your memory, when you started doing this, what was the average, the best of your memory? What was the median price of a home back then when you first started doing this?
Well, I started in 2006 when things were getting a little crazy there in 2006 and 7 and 8, and I was watching the prices of homes go up, and $250,000 for a house. That was, we were starting to bump those kind of prices. But now we've gone up, a $300,000 house is hard to find. And to do that, you're going to have to go to Somerville and Goose Creek to find those houses. And James Island, I saw the dollar per square foot prices in some places in Mount Pleasant back then hitting $200 a square foot. And I went, wow, that's a lot for a house, $200 a square foot. And now it's $300 a square foot in Mount Pleasant and James Island. And the other areas like Somerville and West Ashley and Goose Creek, those are the lower priced areas in the Charleston market. And now they're bumping $175, $185 a square foot. I mean, it's just radically changed in just the past 2 years. There's been a big change in just the past 2 years.
Well, as publisher of Mount Pleasant Magazine and in the podcast here, Voice for Real Estate, I think if somebody's interested in buying real estate, I'm not a realtor, you know that, Doug, but they should be looking now, and they should make a commitment sooner instead of later if they find something they want.
Yes, and they're going to have to fight for it. I mean, last year was, probably just about everybody had to deal with a multiple offer situation on a house. And it's true all over the United States. People are getting anything that's reasonably priced and is a nice house. It's going to go immediately, and there are going to be multiple people looking at it. Got to be difficult to price a house right now. Yes,
it is. So Doug, let's go ahead. I'm gonna tell everybody here. Of course, this is produced by Mount Pleasant Magazine. To read the digital version of the magazine, they can go to www.readmpm.com. That stands for Mount Pleasant Magazine, readmpm.com. And then if somebody's a realtor, or can a mortgage banker subscribe to your thing?
Yes, they can do that.
Okay. Would you please give them that URL again, please?
chstats.com. CH for Charleston, stats.com. They can go on there. It's $12 a month. I mean, it's a lot of bang for your buck.
The data is phenomenal. Doug, thanks for being an ally and a friend of Mount Pleasant Magazine. And thanks for being here and enjoying the conversation with you about Coastal Carolina real estate on Voice for Real Estate. Thanks again, Doug, very, very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching Voice for Real Estate, where you meet local experts who provide timely information in every episode. Be sure to subscribe, share, and comment. Find Voice for Real Estate online at voiceforrealestate.com.